Hello everyone, it's 12:30, so we'll make a start. I have to start by reading this out. I am obliged to inform you that this meeting is being videoed. Members of the public are entitled to record the proceedings and are requested to give prior notice so that any additional measures that may assist can be put into place, and any member of the public who has any concern should raise them now. Okay, thank you. Right, item 1, apologies for absence. I think all the members are here though, or if they're not in the room, they're not far away. Item 2, disclosable pecuniary interests. Anything? No, nobody's indicating. Item 3, minutes. The minutes are included in the agenda. Is everyone happy with the minutes? No. Somebody seconded? Yeah, that's seconded. All agreed? Okay, thank you. Item 4, public question times. Now, there are some public questions. Is there an order? Right, so number 1 is Mr. Malcolm Andrew. Now, you've had a reply. Is Mr. Andrew? Do you want to have a second supplementary? If you'd like to come forward and press the button, you'll be fired up. That's it. Right.
Thank you for listening to us and for the response to our initial question. It's related to item 9 of the last meeting, which was relating to local plan reviews, and in particular the hierarchy of settlements being approved as an outright document. The response we received today says that 73% of respondents supported the hierarchy of settlements methodology in the consultation earlier this year. We are not disputing that. But the whole point of our question, and crucially, is that the threshold section introduced, including para 540 of the new document that you approved last month, is completely new. And there was no indication of that in the previous consultation. So no one has been consulted on the new wording, which defines a new definition and difference between settlements based on a points cap and a new definition. That is what we believe should have been consulted. We know that communities can consult, can comment on the consultation about their own villages, about how that has been applied. But what they are not being given the opportunity to do is to comment on the fundamental reason why it is being applied in the first place, which is the new definition in that final document that you approved last month. With respect to the members, they were presented with that final document with no apparent direction or explanation of the key fundamental change. They weren't directed to that new section that was being added since the original consultation. It appears to us rather that the policy definitions
You're asking to ask a question, not make a statement.
is resulting that various tables are wrong in that, in the tables that have been used to produce that final document.
You need to ask a question,
Okay.
or something stop you.
The question we're asking is that do you not believe that it's illogical or wrong for communities not to be given the opportunity to be consulted on that document, rather than it being a final document that, when it comes back, if people make comments through the consultation, that there is a likelihood that people will stand behind your decision to approve it, and they will not take full weight of those comments. So I would ask all members to reconsider their decision and allow the document to be consulted upon, not just
Well, I'm going to stop you there.
Thank you.
It is a document to save to consultation. I don't know whether the portfolio holder wants to respond or prefer to do a written response.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, yeah, I mean, the question's asked in a different way, but essentially it's getting back to the same fundamental question that you've asked and you've had a response on. So I think I've seen that you've got a supporting document you've tabled and so on, it's quite detailed. I mean, I've already made the commitment we'll meet with yourselves and so on to discuss the specific, but I take the wider point and I'm sure that we'll take that away, speak with officers and meet appropriately. But, yeah.
It is the
No,
wider,
that's finished
the
now.
wider point.
No, sorry, we're moving on. You've had your response. Sorry.
Unfortunately, I believe the people have missed the point and this overarching point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Question 2 is Mr. Stephen Malloy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I've had my question was in 3 parts, and so I'll address them separately, if that's okay, but they're very brief, any of my responses, my supplementary questions, if you like. Essentially, I just feel that all 3 responses are misleading. If I take the first response I got, that suggests that photographic evidence is the way that the council has responded to tightening up the SILT assessment processes. Well, that already existed, and I know that for a fact because I submitted photographic evidence myself for a SILT claim assessment in 2014. So the question is, will you seek a review and audit of that process, please? And if I move on to the second response, the council said they did not consider that there was an issue with officers not checking the submitted evidence correctly. But if I can just quote the external auditor's response on that matter, he said, overall, we nevertheless believe that the council should have been more sceptical about the declaration that Bestford House was in lawful use prior to the granting of planning permission, given the impact this had on the SILT due, especially as it was also the previous owner and occupier of the building. Surely this shows that there was a problem with officers checking the submitted information. And then on the third part, the response was very sort of short and sweet from the council, saying that their response to the claims was consistent with the external auditor's conclusion, and that Shropshire Council will not be pursuing this matter in relation to the false SILT declaration on Bestford House. But can I just say that the external auditor actually erred in law by not accepting that the false declaration was just that, it was false. And the helpful response provided in question 2 that you gave me, which says, it is an offence for a person to knowingly or recklessly supply information which is false or misleading in a material respect to a collecting or charging authority. So, what sort of example does it set if the council don't take any action on this?
Right. In view of the nature of the questions, I'm going to suggest that we give you a written response rather than try and do it today, because they're quite detailed, some of the things you're suggesting. I think you need a professional answer rather than us trying to give a quick written, spoken one. So you will get a written response.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman, but the original question was a written request, and I've had a written response. So what will be any different to the response you're going to give me, and also the response I got from the Scrutiny Management Committee?
I'm not sure, but we will try.
Right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, item 5 is member questions, and I don't think there are any. Item 6, scrutiny items. I'm not aware of any scrutiny items. Item 7, financial monitoring report, and I'm going to ask Councillor Minery to start with this one.
Thank you, Leader. The report, or at least the written introduction to the report is fairly brief, although there are pages and pages and pages of detailed figures. This is reporting what has happened over the first half of the financial year, and it's highlighting, as I think everybody is well aware, that if nothing is done, potentially there is an overspend this year of £5 million or in that sort, which is clearly unacceptable. I wouldn't go so far, Roger, as to say it was catastrophic, which is, I think, is the word that you you've applied to it. It might have been catastrophic for the individuals who are underlying this report, the children who find themselves in need, and we've had to accommodate them, and that's where the larger part of the overspend is. And for those as individuals, they're obviously going through a catastrophic period. And to say that the council, for the council is catastrophic, it certainly isn't. However, you'll see on page 2 of the report, page 10 of your papers, there are a series of recommendations. There are, I think, 6 in total. And the one that I just want to comment on really is B. Obviously, as soon as this was flagged up, officers and members started to take action, started to look for ways in which we could pull back this overspend. And so the intention is, and the recommendation suggests, that there will be a spending freeze. The implications of that are contained on the various pages that follow, Appendix 1. There is a mistake somewhere in there which I would like to draw your attention to. It's a misprint on page 23 of the pack, or page 15 of the report, on the adult services. The old figures, the budget is 22 million, the forecast is printed as 91 million, and the variance of 44,000. Clearly that's not correct. The figure should read 92,141,283 in the forecasted column, and that has now come down to 91,041. Apart from that, there's nothing I need to draw anybody's attention to. Individual portfolio holders will, if there are questions, deal with their own areas, and I may want to come back and say something a little bit later on. And with that, I'll open it up to discussion.
Yeah. Anybody on the cabinet want to comment? I mean, I will say that, yeah, this was a slightly worse picture than we were expecting, although this time of year the council figures normally show an overspend and then it's pulled back, and we are expecting the same to happen this year. We are taking the necessary action to ensure that happens, and whilst the report is suggesting we could still end up 400,000 adrift, it is my intention that we do actually end up with a balanced budget this year. So we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of talks going on with officers. We are trying as far as we can save money wherever possible. And they're not always easy discussions, but we're having those discussions, and we will be doing everything to try and get to back to where we should be with the budget. We don't want any overspends at all, and that's where we're aiming. Roger, did I see you indicate?
Yeah. Thank you, Chairman. Where this council finds itself is a culmination of 8 years, 9 years since it was a unitary governed by, and I have to say, by the Conservative administration. Over the years, every year, I've highlighted the red savings and the amount of one-off grants that has been used to balance the budget. I think it's now coming home to roost where we are. If I look at the paper which went to the council in February, and it was a paper produced by officers stating to the Chief Financial Officer estimates and adequacy of reserves. In it shows the reserves in 2017, 18, 19 and 20 and the way they were going down. £5 million coming out of reserves is catastrophic to that estimation that was made at that time, which council considered. And at that time it was considered that the general reserves could be reduced during 17 and 18 and 19, because it was almost a balanced budget and the savings could be obtained. The recommendation, general reserves could go down. In 2020, the reserves needed to be built up to £33 million because of the savings that were going to be made then. £5 million coming out of the reserves will take them down to £9 million, far below what is considered the minimum reserves this council should have. How we're going to manage next year, I do not know, because the money will not be there to fund the one-off gaps that will need it to be filled to present the balanced budget for next year. So I understand about the extra incurred by safeguarding of children, but there are other ones that are in there, and also how the £1.1 million is going to be saved from the adult social care budget. I wait to see, and I would like to know when council and members will be told how that can be obtained. Adult social care is important. To save that amount of money by reduction in staff, stopping purchasing, I'm not sure. Already I'm having complaints from villages. There's a request for a bin at the side of a road so the road can be kept clear of litter and dog mess. Refused, spending freeze. Request for a mirror to go up at a bad bend in a road for road safety purposes. Refused, spending freeze. The spending freeze from now to the end of March really holds the problem over to next April, when the spending freeze will be lifted, so the expenditure next year will be even greater, I would suggest, than is at present estimated. So it is a catastrophe that we are facing, and there needs to be urgent and policies put in place, not live from day to day using one-off grants. Thank you, Chairman.
In a way, I welcome what you're saying, because I'm going to assume now that when we bring forward a series of reports in December to Cabinet and Council, you're going to support us, because we are going to bring forward some serious reports that are going to show savings, and therefore I'm assuming that you will be happy to support whatever we're doing.
If I was party to the production of those reports and the background to those reports, I might be interested in seeing it, but it may well be that my policies would be different to what is being proposed. For example, I put an amendment to the Council in February about streetlights, which for a capital expenditure over 2 years would save getting on £400,000 a year in revenue, and it was turned down. I'm not sure how we're going to continue with the street lights and not go to LEDs. All the villages in my area have transferred to LEDs and they are saving money year on year.
As you know, we do tend to have meetings from time to time. I think there is one diarised for soon, so I'll welcome your comments at the meetings we have with the group leaders. Right, in Cabinet, any comments, Lee?
Thank you, Leader. Roger, the line in the budget around adult social care, and I need to clarify, this isn't a saving, just in case colleagues here in the media interpret this as being another round of cuts in service from adult social care. The IBCF, which is the Improve Better Care Fund, was part of some additional monies that we had from central government. So this is the response, and I have to say it's still not enough, but it's a response from central government to the issues that we have in Shropshire funding adult social care and the challenge we have of delivering those services across a rural economy and a population of whom we are, as you know, net importers of older adults, so we have a real challenge in terms of delivering adult social care. But the reality in terms of this is that the extra money that came from government for IBCF is intended to be spent on, in part, innovation around impacting on the work we do with the hospital around delayed transfers of care and the innovation that we've put into that. So it's a good opportunity for me to congratulate my team of staff both here and in the hospital teams of how they have improved the turnaround to such an extent that we are now in the top half dozen counties in the country in terms of our improvement around delayed transfers of care. And it's that investment that has enabled us to do that. The balance between the work that we do in innovation and business as usual, because the sums are so large, is how we are able to shift how we allocate that money. So this is reallocating the money that we've received as part of additional money from the government. This isn't a cut in service. So just to reassure you, you will also see that in the detailed notes that part of this is also around delaying a planned restructure in housing, although clearly that's not going to amount to £1 million. Part of that is also in there. Okay, just to clarify. Thank you.
There was a document that was sent out to various people about the delayed transfers in care, which was really good news. I haven't seen the press take that up yet. I might have missed it. I don't read the Star every night, but we would welcome, you know, it was really good news for Shropshire, and sometimes it would be nice if we had the good news published as well as the bad news, because that doesn't always happen. So we will reissue that, I think, that statement, so that people really understand that we are doing a good job in many, many areas. Right, if nobody else has got anything to say, there are recommendations on, well, what I'll call page 10, in the big 10 at the bottom. There are 6 recommendations. Is everyone happy with those? And I apologise for not asking you to put your hands up at the last meeting, because this is quite an important document. I'll ask for a show of hands. So all those in favour? Right, that's clearly unanimous. So that's going through. Right, the next item is day service transformation, Mainstream Metals and Corner Patch. And again, Lee Chapman. Lee?
Yes, thank you, Leader. More good news. I am pleased to be here in Cabinet today announcing the culmination of several years' work reconfiguring and providing a sustainable opportunity for us with our day service provision at Maybury Metals and Corner Patch. Central to the economy in aspects of the work in Central Patch, lovely position in the centre of Oswestry, and some tremendous work being done with the people who attend both Maybury Metals and Corner Patch. The paper here before us today is confirming and asking for approval to transfer the management of the day services to Livability, a national charity who we feel very excited about the prospect of working with them for a term of the next 5 years with an option to extend. And I would strongly recommend the items at 3.1 and 3.2. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Any questions, comments? Joyce?
Yes, thank you. Both of these are very close. Well, one of them is in my area and the other one isn't. And I'd just like to say how much I welcome this, because I think this is a really good step forward. And I'd like to congratulate whoever it was that actually looked into this and has brought this forward. Thank you.
I know sometimes it's hard to pick up on, but we are doing so much behind the scenes to improve the service we provide and the costs we get involved with as the council. And there is going to be a transformation of this council over the next few years, but it does take time, and we are working hard towards it. And as I say, in December you will start to see some of those reports coming through. But in terms of this, I think it is all good news. Roger, do you want to?
Right. I join you, Chairman. It is good news, and I see the saving to the council there. So yeah. But question I have is around 5.4 and 11.3 and 11.4 in the report. It says that the staff is being transferred across, I presume under TUPE conditions for it, and there are 3 vacancies in it, but the contract, we hope it doesn't, but it may come back to this council. So it's the terms and conditions that the 3 vacancies that will be filled under. Will they be under different terms to those staff that are being transferred? Is that covered in it? And I know there's contractual negotiations and so I'm not trespassing into that, but it's staff that we employ will be transferring over, and also new staff, and I would want everybody there who does the good job that they do to be under equal terms. Would that be covered?
Roger, it wasn't very difficult, but you got to the extent of my knowledge on this. I'll get a written response for you. I think what I'd want to be reassured is to make sure that those people were adequately rewarded for the job that they do, and that their posts and role were consistent with Livability's national platform as a provider of quality.
Right. Okay, so everyone happy with the report? Yeah. Okay, that's all agreed then. Right, thank you. Is that it? That's it. Thank you very much. Anything else on this agenda? Right, thank you very much.